Well, welcome back my gardening friends, and welcome to the 2021 end of season tour. I'm just topping up the leaf mould or leaf bin. Managed to collect 25 bags, 9 bags of dustbin bags as well, so we've done well this year. So there we are, 9 dustbin bags and 25 the 1 tonne bags. It does take up a little bit of room, but 20 of these bags will compost down over 2 years to 1 bag, so basically 20 to 1. But 1,000 litres plus of leaf mould is an excellent addition to anyone's allotment and well worth the effort. It's about half an hour to 3/4 of an hour per bag for me travelling with a wheelbarrow to collect them, and then the time just to pop them up there, which doesn't take long. But our time doesn't cost nothing. I'm just trying a hotbed out for my beans, a little experiment. One's got some smelly J's fluid on it and the other hasn't, and I noticed how much steam was in there, so I thought the mice and rats come in here, so see if these will germinate a bit quicker than in the polytunnel. So excellent 2021, don't years fly by. This is the gravity fed wick guttering system, so we've got a little float that keeps this guttering full of water, or so full of water, and then the wicks go in the fabric bags and draw it up. Other than getting a little bit of wilt on some of them, they've done okay, so we'll probably grow just peppers in here this coming season in 2022, but it's done very, very well. During 2021 we successfully took some runners from the Sweetheart strawberries. They're looking really healthy, and that's probably because of the very mild weather we're having now in December. All that cold weather when I couldn't come to the allotment because I was gritting, and now all this wet weather I can't come because it's too wet to do most jobs. The wildflower wildlife garden was very, very successful again this year. We've had a little bit of a tidy up. We've created some more pallet collar beds. We've removed the blue ones to the recycled allotment area, and most of those have now gone. I didn't do anything with my comfrey pipe. I've now got some of the 2 lots of comfrey, Bocking 14, as well as the stuff that we had give us, or we found. So I haven't done any this year, but I will do next year, and I'm hoping to get these bins topped up with the different liquids. This is one of my manure runoff bins, so successful. I put the roof on it to stop the water getting on it, and then we ended up having this pandemic, COVID-19, so I wasn't able to collect the manure like I should have done. I wasn't going to do it illegally, but we've got this one here and this one here. It's got the cocoa coir in it at the moment, and we've used quite a bit of that cocoa coir to fill these up in different layers. We use wood chips. The soil that was already in those blue barrels, and we brought it to the surface. I also used some of my homemade compost mix. I'll show you that shortly on plot 3. We're on plot 1 at the moment if you're new to my channel. This is the Bocking 14 comfrey that I had sent to me, thank you Frank, and it's getting established. It may take a little bit this year, but not much. We'll let it get the crown built, because remember, comfrey sends its roots way down into the earth to collect all the nutrients that no other plant can reach. And living near to the cemetery, there might be some goodies down there that we can all use. Most of the fruit trees did exceptionally well, bar from the plums. So we've taken a few trees out this time. I made the mistake of buying cheap fruit trees from the cheap stores. It's not worth it, guys. It's not worth it. The dwarf rootstock isn't right, and you end up with the main part of the tree taking over. This is a plum. This is my rhubarb bed. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to remove one of the crowns just so I can makes it easier to get around the corners. And because I've buried it this time, I'm not going to be able to give it all the nutrients I normally do. So once this is all cleared, we'll probably just give it some liquid nitrogen feed, either nettle or the manure runoff. Raspberries done exceptionally well. They'll be cut back. We'll be using some of these canes for pea supports like we did in previous years, and shortly after that we'll be giving it a good feed of nettle tea or a nitrogen based food. And then just before they fruit again next year, we'll give them a good dosing of comfrey. The same with the blackberries. I couldn't believe how many blackberries we got this year, so we'll be continuing the same way. A nice nitrogen feed in the winter to get them going, and comfrey to produce those lovely fruits. This netted cage on plot 1 has been really useful. It's kept all the butterflies off the giant cabbages. We've got strawberries in there at the moment. I can transplant them if I need to, but we're just waiting for some of these cabbages to go to seed, so I've got some giant seeds to sow in the future. So we're on plot 1. This is the fruit cage. This has been up ever since my first video. Why not pop and have a look at my first video? I'll put it on the end screen for you to have a little look at. The blueberries didn't do very well because I used some conifers instead of the acacia compost. I'm putting it down to that. It probably needs a bit more weeding as well, but it's very difficult to get in here. I planted some of the currant bushes here, but they've all come through the sides, so not impressed with that, so I've got to prune those differently. These are normally pruned in the goblet shape, so basically you leave a hole in the bottom. This time I'm going to select the ones in the middle, and we're going to grow them as a cordon straight up, and use those green strops, supports to hold everything up, because it's, you can see, very difficult to walk through, and that's even now with all the leaves off. This will be getting a tidy up beginning of January, so watch this space. But overall, pleased with what we've got. The square foot gardening throughout this year, this season 2021, has been exceptional. If you struggle with successional sowing, this forces you to do it, and it's well worth doing. The vertical garden, I've still got to get a grip of this on different things and knowing what to grow, but it's a free guide. So basically we've got 6 buckets there on each one to grow things in, like trailing tomatoes and things like that. So yes, it's been a reasonable success. The asparagus bed, the blackbird's been having some fun in here, spreading some of that manure around. There's those horrible clay balls. I put those right in the bottom, and they keep coming to the top, them naughty worms. But these were taken from seed from a volunteer, and next year I'm going to be taking a few spears, whatever you call them. My permanent bean bed, the other year we put green manure, and this time it's just had some manure. There's some of the Jerusalem artichokes in the containers that you may have seen in a previous video. That's how I plant them up, and there's the holes. Brussels sprouts, not the best this time, but we've got Brussels sprouts. And if you think your Brussels are going to blow like that, take the tops out, and if you're really brave, you can eat the top bit. But we've been riddled with whitefly this year, so they're not as appetizing. This bed had the onions in, and excellent, absolutely wonderful. This had some of the winter cabbage in. We was eating cabbage right through to the end of the summer. This year it's going to be for the carrots, so we haven't added any manure, we've added nothing to it. We've let the cabbages take out all the nutrients and we've just topped it up. Claret sprouting, or purple sprouting, you can call it what you wish. Long-term crop, probably in the ground for 12 months, but well worth it, because when they do start producing, February, March, April, keep picking and it'll keep giving. Well worth allocating a small part of the garden for this. The kale got hit by caterpillars, whitefly, but we've still been taking a little bit, and I'll probably reduce the amount I grow next year. This is my permanent potato bed, so this potato's still in the ground. They get planted in the autumn. This is going to be completely removed now. As you can see, a little bit of weight pushing out on there, so we removed the condor potatoes from there for the show, and we've got several varieties here, and we're going to have to get some of those varieties out and save them for seed before they start chitting too early, because they will start growing, especially with this warm weather. I had several carrot beds on these pallet collars, and if it ain't the carrot fly, it's the rats. Very disappointing year for that. But looking forward, we're going to move it. We're going to try different things, different smells. Hopefully that will keep the rats away, and then there'll be another motley dwarf forest will come back, etc. But overall, we will beat them. There's the parsnip bed. Excellent parsnips coming out of that. For 4 pallet collars high. Use a crowbar to make the holes, and you can watch my journey on that. We've already moved that one over. This one's going to be emptied and moved over. Then the barrels here, instead of having them here, I'm going to have them connected in this area. I'll probably get about 4 in here, maybe 6, but they're all joined using the siphoning system. With all this rain that we've had, everyone is overflowing. Never known it before. Better to have too much than none at all. And there's the polytunnel collection water, and that's all that we get from there. It does a real good job. We planted some green manure this year, and that must have helped the peas. I'm absolutely sure of it. They're still flowering, they're still trying to grow, but obviously there's not the pollinators about. But it won't be long before we cut and drop that and cover it over. But just keep an eye on it, because if it goes to flower, then it won't be any good. It won't do the job it's doing, and even some of the lettuce is surviving. These are the guttering for the long roots. Cracking year at the giant vegetable show, getting 5 second places, and it was just unfortunate. On the last day, the wife took ill at home, so I had to make that 1.5-hour journey home, and she's doing really well, and hopefully that won't happen again. And this is an ideal place to put the wild life pond under the guttering. Keeps it shaded, and it's just keeping that weed under control. And if I find anything in a skip that's broke or doesn't matter, bit of litter, I'll pick that up later. There's a hedgehog under there, an owl here. People throw things away, but they're ideal for a wildflower, well, a wildlife garden, should we say. We've got a volunteer there. Not seen many frogs. I'm just short of frogs on my allotment. They never seem to come to the ponds, but they're always around the strawberries collecting the slugs. Having these pallet collar beds is so much easier. Hip height, ideal to work on. I think I've got a good gap for me to walk. I don't worry about the wheelbarrow because the beds are built now, so it doesn't matter. This massive tank that we got, over 200 litres, sits on these here. Again, water comes off there into the end one, all fed gravity, so I don't need to get to that water. And we've grown a few nice things in there. and it's an ideal place to put the strawberries. I haven't brought them in yet because the weather is balmingly warm. Wet but warm. So much so that the garlic is popping its head up, and hopefully those really cold days, November time, have been enough to get those to split eventually. It's the end of December, guys, 2021. I've put a fresh lot of cardboard on to hopefully stop some of the water from getting to the potatoes. Here's a few more finds. This was a full IBC. I filled it with water to see if it leaked because it had got some damage on it, and it did. But this will be ideal for when I make my homemade liquid plant foods, when I put my container there with the holes in to sieve the liquid out. I've got another container here because some of the fish poo containers are going rotten. Plastic will go rotten, and you lift the handle up and it ends up breaking, and then you end up getting covered in that. Mrs. K isn't happy when that happens. So I cut it down. The old one that I used to have is in the bottom of there because the top had gone brittle. So we've got a container, just need a top for it without a hole in. Found these metal cages. I'm not sure what I'm going to use those for, but maybe on my new sink when I wash the vegetables. I found a little pot of compost. There's only 20 litres, maybe 15 litres in there, but I'll still pick them up. And fly tip, there's a couple of buckets. This one was inside that one, couldn't get it out. Persistent, and that's a decent one. And you can see the amount of rainwater we've had in the last 3 days. There must be 2 or 3 inches there. So just a little bit of work to try and break some of that cement up, but these buckets are really useful around the allotment, especially carrying soil, compost mixes, etc. The leaf mould bin, let's lift the lids. It's a bit windy, but I'll lift the lids up for a short while. And unfortunately we've got a little hole. Doesn't really matter because it just keeps this compost moist, but I did use these are out of the bottom of sofas, but they're going a bit brittle, so I need to take those off. So instead of stretching it and holding it, that wooden post ended up going through there. A little bit awkward. Waste not, want not. A potato that we missed in a reveal. Pop that in my pocket. This is my homemade compost. This is where I put all the compost, and as you can see, the different layers. So to get a good mix, I just dig a hole right to the bottom, and it mixes itself. Because of all the new beds and topping off of the asparagus, the leaf moulds going down really quickly now. But what we do now will help us in the future. So that's the leaf mould. This is the homemade compost. That's over 12 months old. This is the compost we get that the cannabis growers unscrupulously tip with the perlite in. I haven't seen any of this for a long time now, so I'm not using that just willy-nilly. And we've got some more cocoa coir. Not as good as the stuff that's over there, but as you see, it keeps it nice and dry. But I'm really pleased I built these. If you look back on my first video, you'll see where my compost and collection areas was before. This has got easy access now, straight up there, you see, straight to here, instead of trying to work my way through the beds. I have been a good boy. I've tidied this up a little bit. All my plant labels. I use the marker pen, and as you can see, very little wear and tear on those, and I just find the ones that I want and redo them with dates or whatever, but I can just pop them straight back into the new pots. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all a happy new year. Please stay safe, please obey the rules in your areas, and keep everything to a minimum. We've got to live with this because it's not going to go away, and I'm fully jabbed up. Whether that'll make a difference or not, but I certainly don't want to pass it on to my friends, work colleagues, etc. But stay safe, my friends. Happy gardening to you all. Till next time. And don't forget the thumbs up, thumbs down, and please leave me a comment. I do enjoy reading the comments. Till next time, my friends. Ta-ra for now. Excuse me. Plop to mouth in 10 seconds. Bar gum, that mustard's warm, but nice.